Welcome to Sweeping the Country. I'm your host, Derek Walker. My co-host with me today, Mr. Jimmy Carter. And Jimmy, you got a special guest today.
Well, I have someone in the room.
Okay.
I don't know how special they are, but he is the
Ted.
pride of Hedwig Village, Texas.
Where?
And formerly a son of Lake Jackson, Texas, born in Delaware, pretty much raised in Texas. And that's where he is, and that's where he lives now, near Houston.
Okay.
And his name is Ted Maynard.
Okay.
Maynard, if anybody needs to write him and tell him anything.
I'm writing it down.
We're going on this crazy 18-day trip, thousands of miles around America very shortly, leaving the southern part of the United States, headed to the west, and then going up to the Midwest, ultimately through Utah, and then back. So a big kind of not a very good circle, but
it's a sloppy
circular path.
Yeah.
And that's going to be, with a lot of things in between. Seeing you in Las Vegas.
Yes, sir.
And then Ted's co-piloting during this whole thing. And I thought that you could, I bring his name up all the time in Houston. He has many nicknames, but one of them is Tonto.
Tonto. I got one. Flamingo Ted. That goes way back.
Flamingo Ted. I have actually forgotten that one. He is Twill. He's the Doodah Man.
That's right.
He is, God, I can't even remember all of it. He's EP. What was your disc jockey name that we gave you? Al Cobb. He went to Fanfare one time, and I had a badge made up for Al Cobb. I think that's the son of Corn Cob.
Yeah, they bought it, though. They bought it.
But anyway, by trade, a television news photographer. So I was going to let you ask questions to him about anything involving that. He only did it for 40 years or ever how long you did it. So, well, he was there from really when, they weren't even electronic when he started. It was film, wasn't it?
Well, it was making the transfer from
from
we
film
got
to
the early Sony cameras that were ancient now, but they were the thing of the future
and heavy as lead. So he's seen it all there in Houston. So I'm going to let you interview him for a moment.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
I will absolutely interrupt when I need to.
For those of you who can't see Ted, his biceps are about the size of Arnold Schwarzenegger's from carrying those cameras around. Look at that. Woo.
Yes.
Boy, he is working out. So I was thinking about this just a little bit, and you've done it for 40 years, Ted. And by the way, welcome to the program. Glad to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah, excited about this. The technology has changed probably enormously since you started, because you guys were just talking about working with still shots. And turning it into video.
Well, there was film, there was video, like a movie camera.
Yeah.
Except it was 16 millimeter is what they used, because that's the smallest you can go and really be able to edit with it. The Super 8 stuff that people used, you couldn't do much with that. But the 16 millimeter, they were cutting it like they did the 35 millimeter movies.
That blows me away.
And it was really slow. I mean,
oh God,
they would do it. They would go out there and shoot some film, come back and put it real quick in the machine, and I think they could get it on the air in 30 or 40 minutes, maybe an hour.
That's amazing. Talk about that for just a minute, Ted, because you didn't just have to shoot. You had to edit the product, and it wasn't like we edit now, right?
Right.
So what was talk about the process just a little bit.
Well, let me just start from the early on, because originally in television news there were three people, a three-man or a three-person crew that you had the photographer, you had the audio man, and you had the light man, and you had three people. Well, when I got in and they'd gone to electronics, because we had early Sony cameras that were just out, and we had a backpack. We had to carry like a 30-pound backpack.
What was in the backpack? A battery?
No, the recorder.
Okay.
And the controller for the camera. There was a controller that, you set what's called a white balance, where you put the camera on white, and it will tell you the color temperature, if it's daylight or if it's a warm or cool, light.
Gotcha. Okay.
So anyway, you had to manually do that and all that. And so we eliminated everybody so you did everything. You were the audio, you lit your own, and shot the video, and then you took it back, and they'd always edited. I mean, the photographer had always edited the film, when they were doing film.
But when I was doing network level stuff, I had a photographer, I had a field producer, I had an audio person, I had a lighting person.
Yeah.
I mean, I had four. I think there's a position I've left out there. We had, it was all union stuff when I shot in like New York or at a studio or something, roving around. You had to have all those people. Some of that was feather bedding, but what they did is they look at your iPhone. They consolidated all those jobs.
All of it.
And this is what AI is doing. Yeah. AI is basically doing that, because they started out when he started in the electronic world. I mean, there's a lot to it, man. It's trying to hook up to these, like you go to a news conference, you had to hook up to the sound system in the building.
Right.
And there was a lot of that kind of stuff, and then dealing with lights, and whether you're in a hurricane where you don't have much light or you've got your own little, that used to, remember those, the kind you used to have a scupic where you had, look at your hand, put your hand up in the air, and there was about as big as your hand was a light. And then there was a light belt that was heavy as lead. And a lot of people physically could not have done that job.
No, I mean, I'm thinking about it right now, and I watch some of the they call them neighborhood reporters, right? They go out now in our local news, and they basically have a tripod and an iPhone and some kind of earpiece. And they're by themselves, and it's a live feed sometimes, and sometimes they record it. It just seems like it's changed so much. And when you started so long ago and talking about the backpack and all these things, I mean, you clearly had to train somehow for this. I don't. I can go shoot this and probably look okay, but I mean, how did you start in the industry? I mean, did you go to school for it? Did you get a job at a news station and work in the studio, and then go out, or how did that play out?
Yes. Well, when I started in the studio as a studio camera person, in the studio with, and in there I learned how to frame shots and all, you learn just content of the picture,
Gotcha.
And so I did that for 3 years, and then they came out with the electronic cameras, which was new. In other words, everybody had to relearn, the film people had to kind of relearn what they had done for years. And I was on the ground floor, and, and it was just learning by doing for everybody.
Interesting. I drug an old camera out the other day, just a video. It was a Sony, by the way, old camera. It was 8mm, and we have taken a lot of film over the years. My wife and I have the kids, just like any family would have. And I had a heck of a time getting it to hook up to my flat screen TV because there were no amplification products. It was
imagine that I've seen weightlifters.
Yeah.
Have to carry a weight belt around their waist. They had weights to do something, counterbalance or whatever. Imagine going out with like a leaf blower. A leaf blower, imagine putting that on your shoulder, because that's about what it was like.
Yeah.
And then you're looking through a viewfinder to do, that's just your picture. And then you've got audio to worry about of where your sound is going to come from. And then if you've got a light belt on, that's another belt you probably couldn't wear. So either head over your shoulder or head somewhere. And it wasn't like you had, I saw Zena, one of my camera people, was a little Jewish girl. And she did it, but I don't know how she did it. And I'd put one of these TK-76s on in like 1978 or 79, and I have a bony shoulder, and this didn't have a brace with it, and it put a hole almost in my shoulder, so I never tried that again.
When you go out for a shoot, how long would it take you to get ready before you could get it laid down? I mean,
you mean what? Try to ask that again. What do you mean?
When you go out, let's say you're shooting something live, something that's happening.
So we're going to a fire.
You're going to a fire. Okay, so you're going to a fire, but how long does it take you to set up and get filming? I mean, it seems like it's a process.
What year? What decade?
Yeah, when this all started, when you did this 40 years ago.
80.
Well, yeah, the first cameras, with the backpack and all that, it took longer. Now, when it went to just the camera on the shoulder, and all. You had it in the back of your SUV. You would just pull it up, turn it on, and go.
And you were shooting.
You kept it you knew the camera.
Yeah, gotcha.
So you knew you just knew what buttons to push. The audio would come up, the nats, what we call nat sound, the natural sound. You always had a mic for that, and then a mic for interviews.
And you were ready to go. What year?
And you just flip that switch, and you're there.
What year did you retire from photography, from the news?
2012, which has been, what's that?
14
years. 14 years. And I'll tell you this. I visited the station maybe 2 or 3 years ago for a reunion.
Yeah.
And I was lost. It was like I was on a spaceship. It's all electronic. It's all screens. I didn't recognize anything. I don't know how they do anything.
I'm working and I couldn't produce a newscast today.
Based on just the tech change.
Because of the computer. It's all computer.
Yeah.
And it's all this stuff in there. And when we had to do it, it was you had a manual. Well, we went to electric typewriters, but I even worked for a little while on manual typewriters.
Wow.
That had a carbon. Remember the carbon paper? It was like six sheets with carbon, and you tear the thing up, and you have 6 copies, and you get the anchor and the director, and everybody got a copy of that. I mean, it's changed. Well, I mean, we didn't have when Ted started. They communicated on 2-way radios, which were like taxi radios. And that's how we didn't have cell phones. That didn't exist.
That's a whole nother learning curve, the 2-way radio, because
that was easy. I guess that was the
for
easiest
you
thing
guys it is, but try doing that with your wife while you're traveling. It is not easy. You got 10-4, you got over and out, you got all this stuff.
well, that's true. But I mean, there's so many things. It was very analog versus digital, now and learning how to edit. I could do you couldn't do anything but the simplest things called a cuts edit.
Yeah.
When we were in a format called 3/4, there wasn't a dissolve. There wasn't anything else you could do.
Nothing. Yeah.
But you had to worry about keeping a controlled track and all this other crap. I mean, you could screw it up really easily if you didn't know what you were doing. Remember, there was what'd you call that? There was editing, which most people did with the audio channel, but then a symbol edit. If you ever did a symbol edit, you could get through what you were doing, and then it would lose its control track, and somebody else couldn't edit on that tape. I mean, there was so many ways to screw things up. But now, it's the difference in driving a Ferrari versus a Corvair.
Yeah, really I could see that. I mean, I think about what you guys are talking about right now, and I think you can probably just go to AI and say, edit this video, make it 30 seconds long, and give me some.
We're close. We're close to that.
Oh my gosh, it's just incredible.
Well, let me just give you an example.
Yeah,
I was telling you about the first camera I had was maybe 35, 40 pounds of gear.
That's heavy. Yeah, that's heavy.
They've got cameras now that are that are 6 or 8 ounces,
and that's the whole thing. And
there's a GoPro.
Yeah.
There's a DJI stuff from China. I mean, it's amazing.
But the real cameras that like Network News uses, the camera itself is a chip basically. But they have to put these. They haven't figured a way how to, at least on the big level, reduce the poundage of the lens. I guess they've got a little bit.
Interesting.
Well, but I liked the heavy weight for steadiness.
Yeah, I could see that.
If it was too light, your breathing
moving
is seen, everything. So I liked that heavy weight on my shoulder to steady my shots.
I would agree with that.
Here's something for Ted is that, I mean, there's weight and there's pressure like you wouldn't believe to make sure you're not getting water in your camera at a hurricane. You've got to worry about that. You've got to worry about, in a hurricane, of the humidity fogging up your lens where you have to pull out a hairdryer somewhere and dry you. I mean, there's so many ways for a photographer to screw things up.
I was watching just the other night. I was watching one of the motocross races. I can't remember what city it was in, Atlanta or something. And it was pouring down rain, and the lens was covered with droplets, and all I could see was droplets. And I thought, oh, somebody's got to wipe that lens or do what they do. I don't know. Is there somebody that did that for you, or was it just you?
No, you just here's what I learned from a seasoned photographer early on. You go down to the auto parts store, and you buy a chamois, a good chamois.
Yeah.
You cut it into little squares.
Mm-hmm.
You carry that with you when you're in a storm, and you just wipe the lens on air because, you know, I mean, you see it all the time.
It's still a problem. I mean, it's still a problem. I see it. Like I said, I just saw it the other day, and I thought they got to clean that up. Football games, sometimes I see it.
Yeah.
You know, where you
think about it it's one thing if you're a reporter.
Yeah.
And you've got your microphone, or sometimes you don't even have a microphone. You're just there with your notebook or your iPhone or whatever.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, I had to cover civil rights things, but I'm sure you had to cover things. What was the scariest thing you ever covered?
I think the scariest thing I ever did was go to Colombia, South America. Well, it's a long story, but there was a Houston fireman that was down there. He was in a plane crash. Mm-hmm. It was, you know, of course, it's the drug area. There was always, they arrested him down there, went with some fire people from Houston, the fire chief and assistant fire chief, and all the media, all the stations in Houston went down there, and we were in parts. Well, I'll give you an example. We were on a highway that's 2 lanes, and then you get in the jungle, and all of a sudden it goes to 6 lanes.
Wow, fascinating.
And that was for landing planes because they said we were with the Army, the Colombian Army. We were with them. They said we don't come down here at night. Nobody comes down here at night.
Wow,
because it's a landing strip for drugs.
Did you just feel like you were on your own there? I mean, if something went wrong, you were just.
Well, I didn't speak. My reporter spoke the language.
Yeah.
And getting back to what Jimmy was talking about, these light belts.
Yeah.
We had to, when we were coming back, we went down from Barranquilla, Colombia to Rio Hacha, which is on the coast. Mm-hmm. We were coming back from Rio Hacha, which I was told was a big drug town, and I believed it because everybody down there in this poor little town were driving brand new pickups.
Wow,
you know,
interesting.
I mean, it was strange. It was
strange.
Unrealistic.
Yeah,
you know, it was.
On the heels of that, so danger, right? I mean, I'm sure you were in a lot of dangerous situations and things like that. Just out of curiosity, like company policy for stuff like that. If you're covering I watch these things today, these marches and these protests and things like that. What's the policy like for when you're doing that? I mean, are you on your own? How do they control that for your safety's sake?
Well, I covered many a civil rights thing with photographers and.
Yeah.
No, I mean, you're kind of on your own. I don't know now, you know, these folks are so willy-nilly now. I haven't heard anybody give anybody, other than be careful. It's just, I mean, I've gone out there and, even in radio when I was doing it with TV people. Yeah. And had the Ku Klux Klan on one side of the street and a bunch of black marchers on the other side of the street and state troopers in the middle of the street.
Do people generally, I mean, camera and I guess journalists or whatever, do they generally respect the fact that you're there covering it and don't hassle you too much?
They used to. I don't think. Okay. Do you think they're respected like they used to be?
I don't know. And again, you're not anybody's, when you're out there between, like Jimmy says, one side, the other side, and the police in the middle, you've got no friends. I mean, nobody's real happy that you're there,
okay.
I mean, they have no allegiance to, you have no allegiance to any, or they have no allegiance to you, or you're just there.
There was a time though, and I know you've rolled into lower income neighborhoods in a marked news car, and it was like the Beatles coming to town.
Yeah.
They loved it. And then something changed somewhere along the way, and they put all the news people in plain clothes cars, no markings that you were a TV station or anything like that, because it got dangerous. and now they're back into marked again, I think.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I felt like there was a time when it was like untouchable. You were a journalist. You were you guys were there and helping everybody. Now it's almost like
the Klan wasn't real happy with most of the people around.
Yeah, okay.
I know there was a famous guy, I know where he lived in Montgomery. He was a photographer for CBS, and he had, I think it was called a Bolex camera. Was that the one that was like kind of heavy and about that big? It was smaller. And I think it was maybe silent only. I don't know if it even recorded sound, but he got in a fight with some Klan people and hit him with his Bolex. He was just, they called it a boat anchor, and he hit him with a boat anchor.
Interesting.
Because they got into a fight. But yeah, I mean, the media today is not loved as it once sort of was.
I would agree with that. I mean, I would agree with that. And as far as being dangerous, I mean, that to me, I mean, what do you have to protect yourself? You're just out there. You're not like law enforcement. You don't have weapons.
No weapons.
Yeah.
You just had to rely on yourself to if and the station would back you if you backed off of something and said it's too dangerous. They wouldn't push it.
Yeah.
If you felt uncomfortable, threatened, they would say back up.
Like I had a photographer, and they're not even using these live trucks anymore.
Yeah.
But they were. And we've had, you have the big antenna up on top of I'm sure everybody's seen it one time or another.
Yeah,
seen
telescoping.
All this big, monster antenna on the top. And so a thunderstorm rolls in, and they had lightning detectors on the mast, and it would go off in a buzz and alarm like a smoke detector.
Yeah.
And we'd be in the middle of doing something live, and the photographer said, mast has to come down right now.
And that was over, yeah?
Because, I mean, he could declare it over because he was going to be responsible one way or the other, and he had to lower the mast.
Interesting.
And so, I mean, that wasn't very popular with a lot of reporters and others, but sometimes you had to do.
Yeah, and the station would always back you on that. If you felt in danger, they never pushed it.
Yeah, they never pushed that. They weren't that stupid.
All right,
they weren't that stupid.
Switching gears for just a second, from dangerous to most enjoyable, what is the coolest shot you've ever been on? Now, I mean, there are I'm sure a lot of options over 40 years. So if there's more than one, I'm interested in all of them. But what was the kind of the coolest? I mean, Air Force One, Oval Office, Playboy Mansion, where?
Well, I flew on Air Force Two. I never flew on Air Force One.
Yeah.
But I flew with George Bush.
Holy cow.
When he was vice president, from Houston to Austin and back.
Was it for a shoot, or were you just traveling there? Or?
No, it was this was a return trip after Reagan had been shot.
Yeah.
Bush had to go back. He was going to do this trip. He had to cancel it. Well, this was his return to Austin, that he was making up for the trip that he lost, because of Reagan being shot.
Mm-hmm.
So, flying on Air Force Two, that was interesting. I flew from Houston out in the Gulf and landed in a helicopter on the fantail of a Navy ship.
Ooh.
And
holy cow.
That was very interesting, going out to the ship, because it was called, I think it was the USS Houston or something. It was a missile ship, or I can't remember all about it, but anyway, that was very interesting, just landing on the back of a naval ship.
Yeah, not an aircraft carrier. We're talking about like a destroyer or something like that.
Yeah,
small.
And then you got to go on a tall ship, the Alyssa.
Yeah, I spent 3 or 4 days sailing from Norfolk, Virginia, to New York this was a big ceremony, and all the tall ships were from all over the world were there.
Oh, fascinating.
And there's an iron bark out of Galveston called the Alyssa. And I sailed on that for 2 or 3 days from, like I say, Norfolk, Virginia to New York. And so,
do you have, I mean, talking about those memories to me, I think it's kind of neat. I think photographers, and Jimmy, I know you do some photography too, but do you save any of the footage? Do you own the footage, Ted, or do you save it and do you have it somewhere?
No, well, back, before I retired, it was really hard to transfer, to have video, because you had to have a place to play it.
Gotcha.
And you didn't have that at your home.
Yeah.
Now it's no problem. But I have a few things. I I've kept for years David Crosby when he got out of prison.
Yeah.
I kept the video when he came out of prison. We were there.
Oh my
at the prison,
gosh.
At the prison, entrance and exit where he came out, and I've kept that for years. And my reporter asked him a couple of questions and all that. So I've just kept things like that.
Have you ever?
Yeah, well, you ought to see my closets over the years.
That's what I'm saying. I know you.
I've kept, what photographer really, he didn't, no, he couldn't. I mean, we didn't have little cameras, first of all.
Yeah, yeah.
And then they don't have time. I mean, when they're out there shooting, they don't have time to be taking pictures pretty much.
Yeah.
And then we didn't have the format. We didn't have the little cameras like the iPhones and stuff, or we would have all taken pictures of stuff. I don't have anything. Do I? No, I don't even have a copy of any of those stories.
Gosh.
Like, I know I did one that we flew back, sometimes because to get us back to the station, in 1978 or 9, we had to take a charter. We had to charter some kind of propeller-driven aircraft to get us from, say, Decatur, Alabama, back to Birmingham.
Yeah.
And I'd fly back with NBC people. Kenley Jones and I flew back.
Yeah.
And to edit our piece and get it on the air. I mean, the pressure of having to do all that.
So
is
different.
crazy.
So
It's
different.
crazy.
I mean, it's so different. Sometimes I feel like now it's sped up, so people expect it yesterday, but I know they expected it yesterday when you were doing it as well. I mean, 2012, we say, that was a long time ago, but it really wasn't that long ago. I mean, the technology's changed a lot, but I mean, the pressure's still there. They still wanted to be first, right? I mean, everybody wanted to be first.
Just everything. I mean, I did television this morning. I mean, it's all different. I mean, but it's, you just get used to it, but I couldn't sit down in the newsroom computer and put all the elements together and physically. I mean, I guess I could if I sat there long enough, just like I
You'd
learned
have to relearn
the
it
first time.
Yeah.
But I mean, Ted can go shoot now with his smaller thing, whatever they call it, Osmo, and he uses the elements of what he did when he was shooting real stuff.
This is going to sound crazy as a question, but it's a layman's question to a photographer and a reporter, right? Do you still go? I mean, you have the equipment. Do you still go out and shoot? I mean, you ever thought about doing? I mean, I know you retired now, but you probably are really great at what you do. I mean, is there any kind of freelance you've thought about doing or anything like that?
No, I'm done.
That's
I'll do it for fun, like on the trip.
Yeah.
I'll do video. Jimmy may post it somewhere, but
you're done with it. You're done with it.
I'm not chasing stories in Houston.
Yeah.
I miss chasing fires. I have no way to chase a fire today, but that was the happiest time in my life.
Did you go with him, Ted?
In the 70s, in the middle 70s. Riding with the fire chief and chasing fires and going into burning buildings and doing all that stuff was the most fun I ever had.
Wow. Did you and Jimmy work together on stuff like that?
No, Ted was photographer.
Yeah.
And I was executive producer. I was assistant news director.
I got you.
In Houston. That's how we met when I came down there.
Interesting.
And then we all hated the management of the place, so that's how we met each other. Is we had these drinking things at the end of the day where the reporters and the producers and the photographers all got together at this place called Birra Paredes, and we ate and it was
complained
in an organized method, I guess, and then that eventually was it. But we were not happy with the way that place was run, and today, God forbid. I don't think these people even know each other that are in these newsrooms today.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
just a different culture.
Yeah, it was family.
Yeah,
I mean, it was my family.
Yeah,
and we would fight amongst each other.
Yeah, sure.
But we would always defend each other too.
Were you both? I mean, cameraman and reporting wise, were you both on call 24/7?
Oh, I had double pneumonia. And had been in the hospital for a week or something. And then I was home recovering. And it was the middle of the night. And even then I got a call. I mean, on one lung or something breathing. And there had been a terrible fire at the West Chase Hilton in Houston. And I had to supervise coverage from the middle of the night in my pajamas from home.
Oh my Lord.
And
Okay, so
because
yes.
it never stops. I mean, I don't know how many times do you think you had to get up in the middle of the night and go somewhere?
I can't even count. I mean, there was one night I got a call at I was in bed. It was like 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Well, you've got a flight to Tampa, Florida. You got to go to Tampa, Florida. Your flight is at 2:30 this morning, red eye or whatever,
Yeah.
and I'm on a plane going to Tampa.
And nobody gave
Well,
any
when the
concern.
space shuttle blew up
Yeah.
the first time,
Yeah.
which one was that, Challenger? I had just walked into the TV station to come to work.
Yeah.
So it was like 8:45 in the morning, 8:30 or whatever, and it blew up, and we watched it up there. Then I walked up to the newsroom, and they were all having a gathering, and so they said we need to go because there was an astronaut from Murfreesboro, and they knew I just came back from Houston.
Yeah.
So Alan Devine, they told us to go to and we were so that was 9 a.m. We were in Houston at Johnson Space Center by 4 o'clock.
Holy cow.
And we were on the evening news, and that was back then before I did a phone thing over some network footage. I think is how I got on the air that day. But I mean, it's just the pressure, go, and when breaking news goes on, oh Lord, I mean it's like nothing you could ever imagine.
And everybody in news carried a to-go bag.
Yeah.
You had a bag that was packed with anything you needed, toothpaste, toothbrush, all that. You had it in your car ready to go at a moment's notice.
Ted, would they sometimes not tell you what you were covering? Just, hey, you're going to be in Milwaukee.
No, I always knew. I knew where I was going.
Yeah, we always knew what we were doing. I mean, rarely, because I was an assignment editor in Birmingham, and then I had part of my job was doing that in Houston. And I think, sometimes I'd have them start heading towards something.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't ready to say what it was.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I've sent some people on there, and sometimes it's a goose chase because you're not always
sure where it's
something
going to
doesn't happen and there's false alarms. But no, I mean, shootouts, race riots,
Golly.
you name it. I mean, we've, I did it more because of where I lived in Alabama during some of that time. But
yeah, sure.
I mean, Houston, Ted's gotten wet more than most sailors standing outside in the rain. And that's another thing, photographer.
Yeah.
More so than the reporter even, is you got the weather. How much weather have you had to endure?
Oh, tons of weather. And, I'd go to a boat store and get foul weather gear for sailors to wear. I mean, that's
the heavy duty stuff.
The pants, the top, everything,
sure.
Rubber boots. I mean, I had it all.
People don't think about that. Let me ask you this. I mean, we talk about places, flying with Air Force Two and that kind of thing. Do you have memorable people that you, and I say shot, and people are going to misinterpret that, caught on film? Do you have any memorable people that you were surprised while you were filming and going, oh my gosh, this is insane. This is great. I'm watching the, so-and-so, like Jimmy, you've talked about sitting down with Donald Trump before he was president. Yeah. What do you got like that, Ted, that you remember, somebody that really had impact?
Well, I just started in photography, and they sent us, it was a political year. Yeah. And I'm trying to think what year. They sent us to a press conference with John Wayne in Houston at one of the hotels. And so I got to, we shot his press conference or whatever, and then he stayed and met everybody, and I got to meet John Wayne, I mean, that's a treasure to me.
Well, I often said for both photographers and for reporters, and what I've done over the years, I always told people, like, I'm on the front row of life.
Yeah, no doubt.
Because that's what you are. You're on the front row of life, and it's it's quite a rush. While you're in the middle of doing it. But I cannot impress upon anybody young that's listening to me how boring these jobs can be. Oh my! I figured it out once of how long in my life that if you added up all the time I've sat in a hallway of a hotel
and waited.
If you added all that up over the years, I think it would be a month of my life. I'm serious.
That seems conservative.
I've been in hallways. That's a long time, a month in your life.
I don't know, Jimmy.
Because I stayed hours at a time. I mean, every week it would be probably at least 2 or 3 hours. And I did it for a lot of weeks, for a lot of years. And Ted, I can't even imagine how boring and how you had to hurry up and wait, particularly if it was anything involving a president or a big potentate. You had to go somewhere early and just hang around.
Yeah, and you'd wait, for example, you'd wait 2 or 3 hours for 8 seconds or 10 seconds of video.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean,
isn't that wild? Yeah. You
So,
don't.
yeah, we can make it sound fantastic and exciting.
Yeah.
But, oh, my God, of the hurry up and wait is terrible. And then as you get older, I think it's more of an issue, but of where you're going to use the bathroom if you're on a remote. I mean, you're out in the middle of Tucumpucum, Texas, it covering somebody's cattle rustled or someone shot somebody at the 7-Eleven store, and you're out there in the middle, it's 4:00 in the morning, you need to go to the bathroom. There is nowhere to go, whether you're a girl or a guy.
Well, don't you carry like a 5-gallon Home Depot bucket?
Most of the time you don't. Can you see Dan Rather crapping in a bucket? No.
Thank God. I don't want to see that.
No, take that out of your mind. But I mean, that's real. That's the real world.
Yeah, that's
not to
wild.
mention the hunger. And
I
all of us have had to live off of, if we were lucky enough sometimes to go through a drive-in to get a hamburger from McDonald's or something,
Jimmy,
on the way back to the station. And that would have taken 10 minutes, and that would have felt like a lifetime.
You clearly didn't have the right things in your go bag. You got to put in. We
didn't have a go bag on daily routine stuff, but we missed meals. You never had
I
time
can see
to
that.
eat.
Yeah, I could see that. You work right through it, probably. You have to.
Well, you don't want to, but you just don't have time to do it. And sometimes you did, but you felt like you were playing hooky.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, what would you have for advice to somebody that would want to do this as a career? Either one of you, when you talk about camera operation and filming, I mean, photography is still, as much as AI has got a hold of us right now, there are still photographs that I think only humans can capture. Right place, right time. Maybe AI can render something similar, but what do you think for young people coming up? Is there a career in it still?
I don't know. Like I say, I've been out of it for 14 years.
Yeah.
It's a different ball game. I don't know. I can say this, that a lot of the video you see now are captured from citizen reporters, citizen photographers that are just there because you can't be everywhere at once.
Does that bother you, seeing the quality and how terrible it is?
It bothers me, the format, because if you're holding the phone for,
vertical.
Yeah, vertical, then, they have to put a box around it and all this stuff.
I hate that.
Turn it sideways and shoot it. That always bothers me. But other than that, if it's exciting, it doesn't matter.
I don't think
fair.
I mean, I would not want my child to go into photojournalism.
Yeah.
If they wanted to learn how to take pictures, still pictures, and video for that matter, I think it's okay. But I don't know how you would monetize it and make a living out of it at this point. If you had to do over again, well, that's a weird question, isn't it?
I don't know.
Would you do it again?
No. I don't think I could do it again. I don't think I would ever be able to get in the business to do it again.
That's fascinating.
I don't know. It was luck, and it was just a lot of luck and just persistence.
But see, now I'm looking at people on television in market number, whatever we are here, 45 or 50.
Yeah.
And I did radio news really hard for 3 or 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, really hard, anchoring and reporting.
Yeah.
And got into TV reporting and then bumped up real quick into producer and executive producer and all that. But I'd also, been a production assistant and a peon at ABC Sports. So I'd learned from the big guys how to do TV and learned a lot about TV production by being around them. Mm-hmm. And so then I learned about reporting from doing radio. And I went into television because if you were a radio person, we always waited for the TV people to get there before we could start a news conference with the governor or whoever, and that just generally peed me off. I hated waiting for TV. I said, I am not going to be in some second-class business. So that was the main reason I said, I'm going into TV news. And I did. I left and went back to school, finished, graduated, and went into
Jimmy.
TV news as a producer.
Thank you very much. I never got out of second class. I stayed in radio.
No, I mean radio. I mean, I've spent my whole life in it. The last thing I did in my breath today was on the radio.
Yeah,
but it's always been second class to television.
Yeah, I could see it. Yeah, I could see that.
It always has. And yes, there've been there's great. It's apples and oranges to some degree, but particularly in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, TV was, the big shot if you worked at the TV station.
Yeah.
But it's not so much now. And whether it's at network or otherwise. I mean, it's just, I don't know where we're going in all that stuff. It's like, newspaper reporters. Would you want your
I don't
family?
think so. I
mean, I certainly wouldn't. I mean, I don't think right now journalism, and I know there are a lot of people in it in schools, but just like in the music business, when streaming came along, it ruined the music business. The songwriter cannot make a living writing songs now. They cannot do it. And I'm not sure how they're getting even away with it at this point. They're all, 5 of them are living together and that kind of thing. But, you can still make a living out of being a singer if you can go somewhere and play.
Perform,
But with television, photojournalism, there are still people doing it, but it's less and less. I mean, they're making these reporters be, what do they call them? MMJs, multimedia reporters, journalists, multimedia journalists. And that was a failed experiment. You either do one or the other if you're going to do it well. You're not going to do both well. Yeah, and I've seen just awful stuff, because you're busy trying to shoot something. So you're shooting, some teachers told you wide shot, reversal shot, close up of this, you're almost like shooting in a formula. Did I get 3 close ups and 4 wide shots and I got enough to go edit something? Yeah. And it's just, we're going, and I think what actually, if you can compare stuff, I mean, nobody lights anything anymore.
No, not at all.
Ted had to learn how to light. That was probably the biggest set. Even more than shooting, you had to learn how to light something.
Right.
And that was, and boy, the people that knew how to light, they were the best.
And the light kit by itself weighed, 20, 30, 40 pounds.
Jeez.
I mean, now.
Not to mention the spool of cable that you had, if you
drag around
for a while there, you get this spool of cable, and that weighed 50 pounds, didn't it? That thing where you pick it up and it's on the spool.
At least 30
or 40 pounds. And sometimes you had to have 2 of them. And oh my God, I mean, I've done a live shot where I'm in the inside of the football stadium, Nissan Stadium.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go live, and they were cheap. And so I didn't have an engineer that day. So my photographer was the live truck engineer, and he's all the way out in the far out parking lot. And I'm down on the field, and he set the shot up for me. And then I don't know if it moved or whatever, but I had to kind of get on my knees and pretend like I was standing up for the shot to work. And, just the stuff you have to do to get on the air. I may have had some hair, but it was gone, after a while with all that stuff. I mean, I don't know. I don't think that's a good answer that Ted gave, because I don't think I could do it again either. It makes me exhausted thinking about what I went through.
Just for the record, it makes me exhausted talking to you guys.
Well, but in the top of all that, Ted had an amazing career, unlike very few, because you work for one person
the whole time
for how many years?
40 years.
For 40 years.
Golly.
Find me a broadcaster that's worked anywhere for 40 years.
Hey, find me anybody who's worked anywhere for 40 years.
For 40 years.
That's a long run.
And that's really impossible.
Yeah.
And not to, but even though he worked for somebody for 40 years, he went through 10 ownership changes. Probably, maybe not that many, but a lot.
At least 3 or 4
or 5.
And
you must have been good at it.
Well, I got by, I guess. I was.
Come on.
I was
scared. They would have fired you.
I was dependable. Let me just put it that way.
Okay, good work ethic.
The best I can say. I wasn't that great a photographer, maybe, but I was dependable.
Well, yeah, he wasn't whiny. We had a lot of whiny ass photographers. And people that you couldn't depend on.
Yeah.
Or bitched about overtime. I mean, or bitched about working on a weekend, or just was this a pain in the butt.
Okay.
A lot of photographers were pains in the butt.
Okay, rewarding or not?
Yeah, it's rewarding.
Oh yeah, I mean, thanks for the memories.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
I mean,
who
good
else
Lord, all the things that I got to do.
Right.
That if I hadn't have been in television, I would have never dreamed of doing.
And you're right on the money, because you not only got to see all these things, we got to see a lot of these things, but not all the things you saw. But we saw them through your lens. You are the conduit for what we saw. You were live for what we saw. So, when these major events happen, we see what you decide we get to see, but you got to see it all.
Well, and there were times when I shot for the network, and day to day, I'm shooting for thousands of people.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you're shooting for millions of people,
Right.
I mean, I never thought about it. It was just a job that had to be done. But you just think of that what you're doing is being seen by millions of people.
Yes. Yes. Through one eye.
I could never think about that, or I'd have never been able to go on. I mean, to this day,
Yeah, but so true.
if I had to go speak to a neighborhood association here, with 50 people, I'd be nervous and
That's so funny to me.
Think about it.
That's
and if
funny.
you put a live truck out here and had me go on international television, I could do that without a sweat.
Yeah, but
in
both
just
of
a
you
minute.
guys are in the element. You're in your element. When you're behind the camera, Ted, Jimmy, when you're behind a mic or in front of the camera, that's where you feel the best, probably. You're comfortable there.
At this point, but it's an apprentice business. And that's one thing that unfortunately, these young kids out of college are going right into working in market number 40 and somehow having to take their own pictures in some cases, or dealing with something. You need some time in a very small station before you go up to the big boys.
I would agree.
And because some point it's going to bite you on the butt.
No, I would agree.
You can't
Fascinating.
do it. I mean, there's certain jobs like plumbers and other people like that, and TV.
You have
and
to
TV
do
jobs. You've got to start out being an apprentice because you just and say, "Well, I didn't get paid good." Well, you weren't worth anything.
Wow.
So that's why you weren't paid very good. You weren't worth anything. And then as you got more experience and dependability and versatility, you became worth more.
100%. I mean, that was the same as radio for me. And I remember taking my first radio job, and I did 20 years for one outfit, which is 50% of what Ted did. But 20 years, I went in there at pretty much $0, on the weekends. And in my mindset was, it's old school, but it was, hey, they're teaching me how to do something. If they're paying me anything, it's worth it, right?
Yeah.
I should be paying them to learn how to do it, but they're paying me. So,
well, it's the old thing of, I don't know who came up with it. I hear it all the time now, but you have to do 10,000 hours before you're any good.
I think that's
whether
real.
it's guitar or photography or news or whatever. And the technology is what has stunted us more than anything else, because it changes so fast.
Yeah.
And, the editing got to be crazier. I mean, editing for people that know how to do Final Cut and some of this, whatever else they call it these days.
Yeah.
I can do cuts editing still, but then drag in this thing to here and this timeline to here. It's not a natural thing for me. And I do it and I edit little something every day, but I still can't do the fancy stuff, the real fancy schmancy things.
It's changed. Technology's changed. It's accelerated everything.
And you got to try to keep up with it, and it's really hard.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Hard.
Okay, before we wrap up, I got one last thing, and for those of you who are with us right now, is Ted Maynard is here, cameraman for 40 years in the news industry, and Jimmy Carter also. Jimmy's here every week, but Jimmy's same thing in the news industry, television, radio, all that stuff. If you could give us, just as, because it's taken over, right? The cell phone photography is taken over. We know that. The photography and the videos and all that. Can you please give the young people a couple of tips when using the iPhone? Now, I already picked up one today. Turn it sideways. I don't want a vertical shot. I want the camera sideways. What else is important? Maybe a couple things, 2-3 things.
Well, lighting is the most important thing in photography.
Okay, fair.
The most important, and followed by focus, or maybe focus and then lighting. But don't be shooting in front of, like I saw it just the other day for some government person did it for NASA. They had him up on a podium, and behind him was a lake or a body of water or something. And you can't do that. You can't be, the background cannot be brighter than the foreground.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, like my
And people
picture.
make that mistake all the time.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
And I would say follow the action.
Okay.
Where's the action in the shot? Follow that.
Okay.
Don't, if there's a fire and there's fire burning all over and you've got firemen doing something, go with them, because they're the action.
Interesting. I do complain about that behind the scenes a little bit. Why they got the camera over here? I want to see this. I want to see this. So that's
Well, you get lost. I mean, people, you get lost. And then the worst thing is, I used to tell this as a teacher and as a producer for a young photographer, break the zoom, disconnect the zoom.
okay.
Because the worst thing that a young photographer does, they love to zoom.
Interesting.
Yeah, and again, it's a learning thing. I know when you first go to a fire, there's so much going on. There is a lot of action,
Yeah.
and you start trying to capture it all. Find something and just stick with it for a little bit, and then move on. But don't lose your head and go oh.
Over here. Yeah.
And I'd ask you this. I know I've done it. Someone told me to do it. Do you ever count how long to hold your shots?
Well, I was always told 3 seconds minimum.
Really?
Never shoot anything less than 3-4 seconds. I mean, I see things now that are like a second long, and it's just boom, boom, boom. And
I was always told 10. Hold every shot 10.
Well, I would hold a shot. Yeah, I agree. But when I was in the edit, never make a shot less than 3 or 4 seconds.
Right.
I mean,
Fascinating.
And don't be zooming around all the time, because you can't cut on a zoom.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
You
Yeah,
can
because
cut
it
at
would
the
look.
first of the zoom and the end of the zoom, or you got to dissolve out of a zoom,
Fascinating.
and you can't dissolve in a cuts only editing package.
I never
sometimes.
even thought of that.
There's a lot to know.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like
there
this would
is
be a
a
whole nother
lot to know.
podcast.
I would love to bend over and just kind of get rid of a lot of my brain, because there's way too much of that kind of stuff.
and and just thinking of something else.
Yeah.
People that are new to photography tend to give too much headroom. The between the head and the top of the frame.
Okay.
You don't need all that space up there, empty space.
Okay.
Bring that frame down
To the
closer
top,
to the
of, the head. Okay.
Yeah.
All good. These are all good. You wouldn't believe how many pictures. I mean, just the people listening right now probably say, yeah, I don't pay attention to any of that, except the part that we all like to zoom, which I'm guilty of. I'm guilty. Oh, let's zoom in on that. Let's take a closer look.
Find a shot, take a picture of it. Find another shot, take a picture of it. Disconnect the zoom. There's nothing more irritating than trying to edit. And that's another thing in your TV. As a producer, I had to be like a teacher.
Yeah.
And I ended up being a teacher, but I had to be a teacher.
Yeah.
And the best thing you can do is to make a photographer edit their own photography.
Yeah.
Boy, that'll straighten out a lot of
That's
crap.
what I learned. Yeah. That's where I learned how to get what we call cutaway shots. You've got a shot, you need something else neutral
Yeah.
to get to another shot or whatever,
And you didn't get it or whatever, and now
I'd
you
sit in the news, I'd sit in edit bay and make the photographer sit there with me while we watch their field tape.
Oh God!
And
I
boy,
couldn't
that
imagine.
corrected more errors and and did more stuff than you'd want. And when you get good enough,
Yeah.
then you can just shoot and hand your stuff over to an editor.
And you don't even think twice about it.
Because you're going to give them a good field tape.
Yeah.
That's that
God,
looks
I
like a real somebody that knows what they're doing did it. So there's just so much. You got to apprentice. I mean, you've got to do it for a while, and just see and get the glitter off of it.
Yeah.
You got to get the glitter. It's like in anything. I've tried to tell people in my own family in the music business, you've got to go out there and go for a weekend on a bus with 8 other men,
Right.
and do a tour for a weekend. That'll cut a lot of that crap out of you wanting to do it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, gentlemen, a pleasure as usual. And Ted, thank you so much for coming on. And Man, I'm looking forward to seeing you in Vegas.
Yeah, I am too.
My wife and I would like a little glamour shot. So figure out what a price would be. I know you've retired, but something, keep it below $500, would you?
Okay.
I love it. For all of you listening, thank you so much for our sponsors who are part of the program. We appreciate you too. Jimmy, until next week when we do it all again, I'm Derek Walker. He is
Jimmy Carter. Good day.
Good day.